newsletter agency. He has over 10 years of experience in the world of online publishing. And Evan has cracked the code to help you not only engage your email subscribers, but also to supercharge your revenue on autopilot, okay? He was the CEO, co-founder of a startup called Selling Signals, right? Which got acquired by Technology Advice, and he was the GM for Fit Small Business, as well as a couple of other companies. But go ahead and take the stage.
Cool, thank you.
All right.
I'm gonna kind of stand over here. I know it's live streaming. I'm also recording it, so I'm kind of awkwardly look at you guys as I stand here. So, as it was mentioned, my name's Evan, and we're here to talk about launching an engaged email newsletter with AI. So, some of the thunder was already stolen, but just going to give you a little bit of background on who I am. My name's Evan. I'm a writer and entrepreneur with a background in technology and online publishing. As it was mentioned, I was the co-founder and CEO of the online publication Selling Signals, which was acquired in 2022. And I also served as a general manager for the online publication Fit Small Business, generating upwards of $10 million in annual revenue, almost entirely from SEO and email. And then currently, I'm the founder of the email newsletter agency Flyletter, helping businesses build engaged email audiences using proven tactics and AI-enabled processes, which we're going to talk about here today. So, why are we here? The situation. Everyone wants an engaged audience, but the battle for customer attention has never been more fierce. Top companies know that delivering valuable content to customers is the best way to earn attention. And top companies like HubSpot have actually become media companies, leveraging valuable content to build engaged audiences. This is the CTO of HubSpot, Dharmesh Shah. He was quoted as saying that modern media companies have a software company embedded inside, but next-gen software companies will have a media company embedded inside. And that's not just for software companies, that's really for all brands, right? It's not enough to just sell your product. You really have to become a thought leader in the niche that you're operating within. So brands now need to be seen as the authority on X, which is basically the authority on whatever niche that you're operating within, like I had mentioned. However, building an engaged audience that trusts your brand isn't easy, as you guys know. There are many problems with building an engaged audience. Has anyone faced any problems building an engaged audience?
Yes. The algorithm
Call it out.
Constantly. So you call that community and then you can lose it if you check if the algorithm changes.
100%. So algorithm changes, right? So you're building an audience on platforms. It's called platform risk. Algorithm changes, you lose your audience or you lose your reach.
Promoting your newsletter in a world of social media, where the algorithms help you on social media, but in email newsletters, it's like, what have you got? Now I think there's some companies that do have suggestions. You sign up for this newsletter and you can sign up for these other things. That's a hard task, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
So conversion from social media to, or another platform to actual dollars.
Yes, 100%. Anything else?
I think the clutter out there, I mean, I work for a marketing agency and trying to market to people that everyone else is marketing to.
Right.
Hard.
How do you cut through the noise, right, and find the signal to noise? Last call, anything else? Any other problems that people face as they're building or trying to build engaged audiences?
Converting, like, usually people will have kind of like a freebie, like, hook, like, give me your email and I'll give you a hook, but like, how do you actually convert that to a paid customer?
Right. Or how do you even keep them on your email list? Because a lot of times with these free content upgrades, what will happen is they'll sign up for the content upgrade, then unsubscribe immediately. So all of a sudden your unsubscribe rates are too high. So yes, all those is valid. Here are some problems that we have found working with our clients. So the first thing is there's too many channels. Where do you actually build an audience? The second is once you actually define what channels you're going to build an audience on, you need a clear strategy to gain traction in any one place. Building an audience is a grind that takes time and effort. So if you have a clear strategy, you're going to have to invest a lot of time, effort, and maybe money in actually executing on that strategy. And then crafting engaging content is a skill set that requires expertise, right? So we all understand that we need to be on social media. We all understand that we need an email newsletter. That's why we're here today. But actually crafting that high-value content is tough. And then, of course, like we mentioned, you're at the whim of the algorithms that can change in a heartbeat. So So a lot of problems with building an engaged audience. But there's a solution, and you guys are all here to talk about email newsletters, so surprise, surprise, the solution is a recurring email newsletter strategy that grows and engages a robust list of customers who opt in to receive your high-value content. So just a couple stats for you guys. Email is one of the highest value channels to build an engaged audience and generate sales. It can yield up to $36 for each $1 spent if you're doing it right, higher than both social media and SEO. And then 64% of companies rate email as their highest and most effective marketing channel. And then crucially, a weekly email newsletter also positions your brand as an authority and thought leader and actually builds an audience you own, right? So that really helps with that platform risk. It really helps with those algorithm changes because you own that email audience. And as long as you're not being marked as spam, you're always going to be able to communicate with your email audience. So here's a few examples of some successful newsletters that are doing it really, really well. This is The Hustle. It was acquired by HubSpot. Now it's HubSpot's business newsletter. It has over I think maybe even 4 million readers now, and then HubSpot acquired it for a little over $20 million. So it shows you the value of these newsletters. This is a brand. There are also personal brands that use newsletters. So this is a newsletter called The Curiosity Chronicle. It's by Sahil Bloom. He's a, I guess now Twitter and Instagram influencer that kind of came about during the pandemic. He has over 1 million Twitter followers. He's getting close on Instagram. And he has a weekly newsletter called The Curiosity Chronicles where he basically distributes self-improvement content for his audience. I think he was New York and then he was somewhere else. So maybe, yeah. And then I think Sam Parr, who he is in Austin, and he started The Hustle. So you have brands, business brands launching newsletters. You have personal brands launching newsletters. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger has a newsletter now, right? So look at this svelte guy right here. He has a daily newsletter called The Pump Club, and he's trying to create a positive corner of the internet. So everyone is using email newsletters at this point to grow and then monetize engaged audiences. But an email newsletter alone isn't enough. And what we recommend doing, in addition to launching an engaged email newsletter, which I'll show you guys how to do here in a second, is to actually build what we call a content flywheel system. So this is an example of a content flywheel. This is one of our clients, Great Robot. And so what this depicts basically is you have your email newsletter sitting in the center of this content flywheel. Let's imagine this is a weekly email newsletter that you're writing once a week and distributing it to your list. What you can do is you can actually repurpose that newsletter content for social media and for SEO with the purpose of promoting your newsletter, which drives traffic back to your newsletter. That increases subscribers. And then rather than trying to sell to your audience directly on social media and directly on SEO, you actually sell to that email newsletter list. So once the person is on your email newsletter list, you are providing them with high value content, but then you're also providing in-newsletter promotions for your products and services. And this is the best way to both grow, engage, and monetize an email audience. And really, it's basically one piece of content distributed multiple times. So for example, if you have 4 social media channels and you have 1 SEO blog with just 1 email newsletter, you can create a social post across each of your 4 channels. You can create an SEO blog, so that's 5 pieces of content, or 6 if you include the email newsletter, all from just writing that initial email newsletter. And that becomes a self-generating content flywheel that we actually recommend and do here at Flyletter. So what this basically creates is a recurring sales funnel, essentially, that starts with a welcome series for new subscribers. Once the new subscribers go through that welcome series, they are dropped into your weekly email newsletter. And then just like we had depicted in the last slide, every week that email newsletter content is repurposed for your SEO blog and then also for your weekly social posts as well, creating multiple pieces of content with one, basically, piece of content. So here at Flyletter, we help our clients do just that, build content flywheels that engage, grow, and monetize their email audience. And we do it with a very specific process. So I'm going to walk through the process now, and then we're actually going to do a live demo of how we use AI, which I know we're all here for, to actually write this content. So the live demo is the first time I've done it in front of this many people, so fingers crossed, we'll see if it works. It might be like the Elon Musk, the the truck that he tried to smash with the ball or whatever. So here's our fly letter system process. We start by defining your ideal customer, which includes the niche they operate in and then the primary goal that they're trying to solve. So basically, what is the pain point of that ideal customer, and then how are you solving that pain point with your product or service? From there, we want to outline the brand's tone and writing style to make sure that you basically have a consistent brand voice across all of your pieces of content. From there, you're going to create your welcome email series like we depicted in the previous slide. You're going to come up with your newsletter topic runway. This is really important. I'm going to show you how to do this with AI. From there, you're going to actually write your newsletter content, whether that's weekly, semi-weekly, daily, whatever it is for your specific audience. Then you're going to repurpose that content for SEO and for social media. And then, of course, you're going to iterate and improve. So this is the exact system we follow at Flyletter to, again, launch, engage, grow, and monetize high-value email audiences for our clients. Again, Flyletter, and I'll go into this in a little bit, but Flyletter is a full-service, done-for-you email newsletter agency. So we basically use AI internally to produce a better result for our clients. And I'm going to show you how we do that actually right now. So here's where the live demo comes into play. Everyone can cross their fingers for me. We'll see how good this is or isn't. So I'm going to show you basically 3 things here with this live demo. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to show you how you can use AI to come up with a newsletter topic runway. Then I'm going to show you how to basically write your newsletter content with AI and then repurpose that content for SEO and for social media. So let me do that right now. Okay. There we go.
Just one question. Are you going to also get into the actual flywheel itself?
Yeah, so as I go through the demo here, I'm going to show you how you kind of put it together into the full flywheel system, basically. It's fairly straightforward, but I'll kind of talk you guys through it as we actually do that. Yeah, thank you for that. Now, even though this is a email newsletter strategy, obviously there's an SEO component to this, and SEO is still a great way to figure out the type of topics that your audience is interested in, even if the primary focus of that strategy is to ultimately get people onto your newsletter list. You want to have what we call SEO-informed topics, so that you can verify interest level by keyword volume and difficulty and whatnot. And then also when you repurpose that content for SEO, you have that upside benefit of getting SEO traffic and then actually converting that traffic onto your newsletter list. Did you have a question, or were you just doing the flywheel?
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, SEO informed content runways is what we do. So one great way to do this is actually to use a keyword planning tool like Ahrefs or like SEMrush. Typically what we do is we will work with the client to define that high-level topic that they're trying to go after, and then find all the keywords within that topic, just like a traditional cluster planning strategy, to basically help them generate traffic but ultimately serve their audience. So what we do is we start with a seed keyword, which if you guys are familiar with SEO is really like the pillar page of what will become your content cluster map. I'm not going to talk too much about content clusters here in this talk, but if you have any questions about it after, I'd be happy to answer them. My background is, like I said, in SEO and in email marketing. So I'm going to use an example here with one of my clients. I'm not going to name them by name, but they're basically a pharmacy recruitment agency, and what they do is just that. So they are a niche recruitment agency specifically for pharmacists and pharmacies, and they want to position themselves as the go-to resource for hiring, training, and retaining top-tier pharmacy talent. So in this example, we're going to be using the seed keyword of pharmacy hiring, right? So we're going to build a topic around pharmacy hiring. So I'm just going to run this real quick. I'd already run it, but I need to get access to the internet is what I need. Does anyone have internet access?
I think.
Capital Factory guests?
Yeah.
Boom. Technology. I promise I know AI. Okay. So I'll continue to the internet. Click the box. Like I said, live demo, you never know. Thank you for watching on the live stream. Okay, it looks like we're good. It'll probably make me log back in. I'm going to try this again real quick. So we're going to be looking for pharmacy hiring as the primary keyword here. And let's see if it, okay, cool. So once you have that primary keyword, one way that you can basically build a topic runway for your email newsletter is by going to the matching terms, the related terms, and the search suggestions offered by these SEO tools. So what this typically will do is it'll give you that primary keyword that you're going after, and it will give you all the related keyword terms for that primary keyword, and it'll also suggest new keyword suggestions for that primary keyword. So it's a great way to do just some quick topic research to figure out what topics you should be writing about. Now from there, what you can do is you can actually download this as a CSV file. So I've already done this previously just for speed, but you can come over here to export, and you can actually download the results into a CSV file. And you can download a CSV file for the matching terms, for the related terms, and for the search suggestions. So you have 3 opportunities to basically uncover high-value keywords. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, thank you. So we download that CSV file. And now we're going to go to Claude, and we're going to use Claude and ChatGPT for this, and I'll explain basically the differences in them a little bit in a second. And we're going to actually ask Claude to help us determine which keywords and which topics we should be going after based off of the CSV files that we've downloaded. So if you come over here to Claude, and let me just do this real quick. So I have some internal prompts that we use here at Flyletter. I'll be going through all of them. This one is to figure out and define the newsletter topic runway. As you see here, it's just basically giving them the instructions that you're an expert SEO consultant, helping me plan a content runway that gives me the best chance of ranking for the highest value traffic. There's also the opportunity to give you the website as well as the domain authority of that website. So what Claude or ChatGPT will do is it'll take into account the website performance, and website authority. It'll analyze the keyword difficulty of the CSV file that you're uploading and also the keyword traffic. And then it's going to suggest which keywords we should be going after, basically, based on this prompt right here. Now, one thing we do, and I had mentioned this during the process slide, is we always want to define our ideal customer primary goal, the tone, and then also the style. Shout out to Zachariah here, actually, for giving me the basis of figuring some of this out and using this basically as the foundation of building your content. So I highly recommend this. If you guys are interested in writing a book, he's the man to talk to. He does it all with AI. So shout out to Zachariah on this. So you have this, and basically you give AI who the ideal customer is, what their niche is, what their primary goal is, and what their tone is. And then you upload the CSV file and you ask, hey, can you suggest to me the best keywords, the best topics to be going after based on all this information? So I'm going to grab this right here.
Can you explain why you're using Claude and not ChatGPT?
Yeah. Yeah. So some of it comes down to personal preference. And for the rest of this, we will be using ChatGPT. But Claude is really good for a couple things. One, it's really good when you need to upload files. Whenever I try to upload files to ChatGPT, things start to break or break down, whereas Claude was built specifically to be able to upload text and CSV files, read those files, then return a result. So anytime I need to upload a file to the AI, I always use Claude. The other thing with Claude is the context window is like, 8 or 10 times as big as ChatGPT. So if you have like a really, really long prompt that you're running through, you're going to want to use Claude over ChatGPT, because with ChatGPT, you're going to have to break up that prompt into multiple steps, whereas Claude, you can kind of throw it all in there and then get a result. When they first came out, they uploaded The Old Man and the Sea, the entire book, and then had it analyze that book. ChatGPT cannot do that because The Old Man and the Sea is too big. So that's why we're using it for this.
Is this like Claude free, or is it Claude step up one?
So I am paying for it because I don't want to get kicked off when usage is high and whatnot. I don't believe that there's a performance difference, however, between the free and the paid, unless someone out here knows otherwise. It's more just you get priority access when usage is high, and then also when there are new feature rollouts, you'll get priority to those feature rollouts. But like the power of the AI is the same with the free and the paid. You just basically assure yourself that like you're not going to get kicked off ever, basically. And of course.
I like the tone too that you have that's set up there.
Yeah.
Conversation encouraging information.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, this is for my client, who is the pharmacy recruitment agency. So we had defined all this with them. So we're going to come here to Claude. I'm going to have to reload it. Come back here to the AI. I'm going to paste this in there. And now I'm going to come right here and I'm going to upload that CSV file. And I'm basically asking it, why don't you return to me what you think the best topics and the best keywords are going to be for actually coming up with our content runway. So I've asked it to give it in a table format. So it's now ranking what it believes to be the best topics that we should be going after in order, based off a combination of how hard is it going to be to rank and how much keyword traffic is there and how relevant is it to the audience we're going after, right? So it kind of is like a blend of all of that. And that's how we come up with content runways typically. There's a couple ways you could do it differently as well, which I also like for a newsletter, because remember, a newsletter can be SEO informed, but you don't have to be beholden to all of the constraints that you need to be with an SEO article. So for example, you can write a newsletter with 0 SEO traffic. That's fine. And so what you can also do is you can ask the chat, hey, can you suggest 30 topics based on this audience, this primary goal, this tone? It will give you these pretty great topics. And then from there, you just do the reverse. You take those topics and you throw it into your SEO tool, and then you see how much traffic is behind that, basically. The downside with that is that typically it's not SEO informed, so there's going to be a lot of junk if you're looking for SEO that don't have the proper like keyword traffic that you would want. But I think the topics are sometimes better because it can just come up with the best topics regardless of how much traffic is there. So it's a little nuanced way of going about doing it, but we highly recommend doing it this way because, again, you're just going to be one step ahead of the curve, and you're basically doing all of the content runway analysis for you in, 2 minutes we just did it here. So.
Can I ask, how many of those is it giving you the entire list top to bottom, or is it only choosing the keywords that I want?
So the CSV file originally was I think 700-800 rows,
Okay.
but you can, in that tool, decide how many rows you want to download. So I just downloaded 30 rows just for this. Yeah, so.
That's including all the rows.
Yeah, but you could just adjust the prompt to say, give me the top 10, give me the top 20. Again, I just wanted to make this kind of like an easy.
And is the difficulty, is that comprehension or is that reading or what's
The difficulty is how difficult it is to actually rank for that keyword. So the higher, it's at a scale of 1 to 100. So the higher the difficulty, the harder it's going to be to actually rank on the first page of Google for that keyword term. So for example, the keyword Facebook is 99 difficulty. You're never going to outrank Facebook for the term Facebook, right? It's just not going to happen. But there are some Facebook advertising strategies, right? Longer tail keywords that might have a 20 or 30 difficulty, and anything below a 30 difficulty is fair game with even a small website with a low domain authority that you can go after those keyword terms. If you're getting to the 40s or 50s or above, that's when you want to have more of a dedicated SEO strategy where you're doing off-page link building and all the other technical SEO and all these other things that's going to give you the best chance to rank, because 50, 40 plus is pretty tough to rank for. So yeah, so that's typically how we think about that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Any questions with this? Yeah, go for it.
Is it possible you could share this template in some way?
Yeah, so we have the slide deck and then the prompts. I think the best way would just be to work with Sharon, and you can send it out on the Meetup, right?
I'll do it.
Cool. Yes.
Cool, 'cause I want it.
Any other questions with basically coming up with your content runway? This is coming up with your content runway. Everyone good? All right, now we're going to start writing some content. Fingers crossed again for me.
It'll work.
So now let's just imagine that one of the keyword terms here is pharmacy recruitment strategies. Okay, and I'm going to use an example of how to write a newsletter and then repurpose that newsletter content for SEO and social media for the keyword term pharmacy recruitment strategies. But again, remember that you can still use this even if you're not consulting SEO, because I'll show you in a sec that you can just come up with your own keyword or your own topic term and use AI in the same way to actually write that topic. So it doesn't need to have SEO traffic behind it. It's just a good idea too if you're trying to actually generate SEO traffic and generate subscribers. So we're now going to write a newsletter for the topic pharmacy recruitment strategies. And let's do that presently. Okay, so I'm going to open a new chat. We got it right here. I'm going to close this. Oh, I'm going to close this, wherever it is. There it is. I'm going to open this. So this first prompt is basically, we're basically doing the exact same thing we just did. It's just defining the tone, style, primary goal, and niche. So what we're doing right now, and this again is this term is taken from Zachariah, we're training the brain right now, right? So we're basically giving the AI all the pre-work it needs and all the information it needs to actually write the content. So as you'll notice, these are sequence prompts. So I'm going to be giving a couple prompts to the AI. And what we're asking it to do is actually not start writing and just say that you understand the information that I've given you, and then we're going to prompt it to write once it has all the required information. So let's just do this first one here. Again, this is just saying this is your persona. So you're an expert marketing copywriter. You write actionable, engaging email newsletters of 1.5K words. Again, that's variable. And in fact, we don't really recommend writing an email newsletter that long, but oftentimes you need to determine how much words the chat is going to write, because it's going to write less than that actually. So that just makes sure that it's going to write enough. For SEO content, even a 2,500 word, 3,000 word article is fair game. So you can kind of adjust the amount of words in the prompts to get the result that you require. And then this is basically just telling you who the ideal customer is, what niche they operate in, what their primary goal is, which again is basically like what's their pain point they're trying to solve, and ultimately how do you solve that pain point with your product or service. And then your tone, brand tone, and your brand style. And that's what it is right here for that pharmacy recruitment agency. I'm going to come here to ChatGPT. I'm going to make sure that web browsing's on because we're going to use that. I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm just going to do that. And if it works, it should just say, I understand. Great, it understands.
So in that portion there, did you come up with any of that yourself, or did that all come out of ChatGPT?
So due to time constraints, I can't walk through the entire process.
Okay.
But the first step is defining all of these things, and we also have prompts that will help us define these specific items. But what it typically requires is input from the client. And then we basically, so what we'll do is typically like a kickoff call, where we'll sit together with a client and say, who is your customer? Like, what are they trying to do? And it's almost kind of like a blue sky. We write a bunch of notes, and then we have the AI help us define with specificity what this is. However, you don't need to do it that way. You can just write, I mean, if you know who your ideal customer is, if you know what niche they operate in, I mean, even a sentence or two is really enough. But if you could really dial it in, it's going to give you a better result. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have that one. Now, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to actually train it on all the different content styles and content like outlines or templates that you can potentially use for your newsletter, and then also for your SEO content. So there are only a few types of content that that you can use for SEO or for your email newsletter, and then you can blend them all together as well. So what we basically tell the AI is there's 4 types of articles that you can write for your newsletter. We have what we call an ultimate guide. This is for high-level concepts. What is this thing? How do you do this thing, right? What is email marketing? How do you do email marketing? Kind of that high-level concept. And then basically right here, as you'll see, is the actual structure of this potential template. So including H2 headers, H3 headers, and information below that. So this is basically training the AI and all the different templates, all the different formats that you can potentially draw from. But crucially, we also tell the AI that you can come up with your own template if you want. So this is really just information for it to understand. And what it will often do is combine multiple templates together into one to deliver the best answer to that specific topic. So this is an ultimate guide. We also have a how-to guide that makes sense. How do I generate leads, right? And this is more like a step-by-step. We have what we call a buyer's guide. Hey, what's the best email marketing platform for me? What's the best email marketing system for me? And then we have what we call a listicle, which is just like what are the best strategies for email marketing. There are a couple other ones as well. There's what we call a versus article, so HubSpot versus Marketo, and a couple other ones. But really, these are the main ones. And again, we are giving the AI free reign to come up with its own template and format based on these inputs here. So this one's kind of long, but I'm going to grab all of it, and then I'm just going to add it in there. And again, this is us just training the brain or continuing to train the brain on potential outlines. And if you imagine what these newsletters will look like, they look kind of like SEO articles, basically, right? So like the Curiosity Chronicle that I showed previously is a good example of that, where his newsletters are typically about 1,000 to 1,500 words, H2s, H3s. They read kind of like an SEO article. And that's what we recommend for most of our clients. There are other opportunities to create email newsletters that are more news-driven, for example. And then there you're just kind of like re-summarizing news headlines. Also, if you're producing a lot of SEO content, you can do like a weekly roundup of all of your articles that you had published. But we recommend at least starting here, where basically it's like one weekly newsletter, one weekly SEO blog post. They look relatively similar, and you're ultimately sending that content information to your audience via your email newsletter. So I'm going to add it here. Let's see if it understands. It's thinking, and it understands. Okay, great. So the next thing we want to do is get down here. All right, so now we've trained it on everything we want it to write. So rather than going to write the full article right away, what we want to do is have it write the outline first so that we can actually adjust and update the outline as we see fit. There's a little bit of back and forth that sometimes occurs during this point to make sure the outline is good. And then once you have the outline, then you ask it to write the content. Another strategy would be if you're writing a really long piece, like a 3,000 plus word piece or something like a 100K word like book or something like that, breaking it up into individual sections and then having it write one section at a time is also what we recommend, because that way you can ask it to change or update specific sections as necessary, and you don't just get like a 3,000 word article and like, gosh, well, I got to change this thing up here, and how do I do that? So if you just write it section by section, you're going to get a better result. But since this is only going to be roughly 1,000 words, we're just going to bomb it and write all of it, basically. So what we're basically telling it here is we want you to now craft an outline for the primary keyword, as you see here, pharmacy recruitment strategies, right? So let's just imagine that that came up during that process that I showed you previously. Now, we also want to identify what the primary question is for the audience. So basically, what are the best pharmacy recruitment strategies to find and hire top-tier pharmacy professionals? And then the intent is the avatar or ideal customer wants to hire the best pharmacy staff and needs help with the best strategies to do so. So you're providing all the context for the audience. So we always recommend identify the primary keyword, what's the primary question the audience is asking, and then what's the intent behind that question. And that's going to give the AI a lot of what it needs. Now, what we also do...
So those would be blank, like if this were...
That's correct, yeah. So I did all this previously just to kind of speed this thing up a little bit as we're doing the time check. We're pretty good on time. Yeah, so basically that would be blank. And similarly, the audience, tone, primary goal, that would be blank as well. And then we would define that together, basically. So, but you want to identify the primary keyword, the primary question, the intent of that question. Now, what you also want to do is find some example articles that you think are answering that question well. So what I've done is I've actually already gone online. You see right here example articles, and I've found the top 3 articles that I think are addressing this keyword, addressing this question the best. As a side note, there are paid tools that you can do, like paid SEO tools that you can use to do stuff like this, and what it's basically doing is exactly this. It just has a nice user interface on front of it. This is a way to do it for free, basically. So it's going to reference these articles, and then we also have this spot here for context. Now, context is where you can inject your own thoughts and opinions, basically. So right here, I think I said that, hey, this is going to be a listicle style article. Like, I already know it's pharmacy recruitment strategies. It's probably going to be a list of the best pharmacy recruitment strategies. So if you know that, you can just say that. This is also a great place to put any personal stories if you want to inject that. Any key data points that you have that you want it to reference, you can just put it here in the context, and it's going to reference all of that when it writes the article. So once you have all of this, what you're doing is you're basically asking it to come up with an outline. Let's do that now and see if it works. Oh.
I love that it's pulling from those articles.
Yeah.
To
And this is actually the part that goes awry the most because it's going to have to read all the content. So let's see if it does it. So yeah, so it should be browsing the web right now. And again, ChatGPT 4 has web browsing capabilities. All you got to do is switch it on. Is it paid or is it free as well? I think it's.
They just brought it back too.
Yeah. So
It's like $20 a month, isn't it?
yeah, I recommend it. I pay for Claude and for ChatGPT, $20 a month.
Oh, that's sick.
So it just read all the content, and then now it's basically giving me a outline of what it thinks that I should be writing, basically. So as you see here, it is basically delivering exactly what I would expected. It is going to be an article with H2 headers about the most important pharmacy recruitment strategies, and it's giving me some information on what's going to be in each one of those sections. So at this point, if you don't like the result or if you want to add or improve it, you can literally just start talking to it. Say, hey, can you add this section here? Can you remove this section there? And then it's going to give you a better outline, and you want to optimize the outline before you have it write the content. But for the sake of time, and also like this looks pretty damn good to me, gives you an email subject line, it gives you an intro section, gives you all the header sections with information, and then it even gives you an outro section. So this looks pretty good to me. So we're going to have it write the article now. So this is basically me asking it to now write the article. And now, similar to the previous one, we're not asking it to respond with I understand. If it understands, we're asking it just to start. So you see down there, it says, if you understand, begin writing, no confirmation is needed, right? So it's just going to go. So let's see if it writes it.
Can you go in and underline the important concepts for it to comprehend that's the most important the
No.
importance of it?
No, it comes up with it itself for the most part, yeah. I mean, in the context section that I showed you, you can add that context just if you want to make sure that it's like coming up with certain things. But for the most part, it's going to basically do its own analysis and then come up with its own article. So it's writing the article now. It does take a little bit. This is more fleshed out. Again, because this is a newsletter, what we did with the style is we said it should be very to the point, heavy use of bullets, highly scannable, and as you notice, it's doing it here. If you wanted it to be more fully fleshed out, you could adjust the style and basically say, give me more fully fleshed out paragraphs. I need outro paragraphs in each one of these header sections. You can be a little more definitive in what you want. And in fact, what I would maybe do here, like for me, for example, I feel like some of these intro paragraphs are a little skimpy. And so what I might ask it to do is, hey, can you rewrite that, but give me fully built out intro paragraphs that like accurately set up the section? And why don't you also give me an outro paragraph that then segues to that next section? And the way you do that is you quite literally just ask it to do that, and it can do it. I won't do it here for the sake of time, but that's what I would recommend doing.
How long does it usually take for you to review and kind of edit this? Because it seems like there's just kind of some awkward phrasing that kind of came up.
Yeah.
And I guess like, how long does that look like just from the human side of things?
Yeah, so the best way to say it, and I guess it's kind of like, it's been said probably 1,000,001 times, but it's like it's AI enabled and it's like AI plus human. It's not AI and it's not human. And in my opinion, is a human who is utilizing AI is going to beat just a human or beat just an AI almost every time, basically. So to your point, there is still a human element here. Now, what you could do and what I would do is I would want it to expand on some of these concepts. So I would just ask it, hey, can you expand on this? And then if this is for a client that we're going to be writing a lot of content for, I would go back to the earlier prompts and then update some of the stylistic stuff to make sure that it's going to deliver a more consistent result. So I don't have to like ask it every single time, hey, can you make more built out intro paragraphs, more built out outro paragraphs? From there, if you notice any awkward phraseology that's consistent and repeatable, you can ask it to remove it or rephrase it, or like rephrase things like, and then it can rephrase that. And then what you can also do is then you improve your prompt by going back and saying, okay, let me add that in there so I don't get that awkward phraseology just from the beginning. That's what I would do first. So I would kind of like continue to utilize the AI to see if it can provide a better result for me. But then you're going to have to self-edit 100%. And with a self-edit like this, with like a 1,000, 1,500 word article, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. And that's really making sure that it's like high quality for the end user. And obviously doing client services work, like, you're a little on edge about providing a good result. So we probably sit with it a little longer. And what we do is we have US editors on staff, and then we also have Philippines writers and admins who will run these prompts, pass it off to an editor. The editor will do the human editing, and then we pass it back to a Philippines admin who will do the work of getting it uploaded into the proper systems and published. So that's kind of like the process that we use. Does that answer your question?
I'll also just add to tone. Tone is really big with this, is what I'm, especially with ChatGPT now. I notice tone is getting worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like here's to transcending recruitment challenges. Like no one would ever say that.
Right.
And so dialing in tone at the beginning.
Right, 100%. And ways to do that is, so it's dialing in the tone, getting writing samples, and then updating and adjusting the tone. So hey, I'm seeing like you're using like big words. I've actually worked with some stuff with Zachariah where we're writing some stuff in my voice and it's saying things that I would never say. So you have to kind of go back and kind of like update it a little bit. And what you're doing is you're just refining the prompts over time so the output gets better and better and better. And another thing that you can do, which I like to do, is if you have a piece of content that you really like the tone and style of, you can put it into the chat and just be like, hey, what tone is this? Hey, what style is this? And it will deliver what tone and style that is, and then you can use that as the basis for coming up with your own tone and style. So if you have a great blog post you really like or something like that, you just copy and paste it and ask, like, what is this? And let me just say before I call on you, you can also ask chat to improve its own prompts. So, for example, when we were first coming up with this, it kept not reading the internet, and it would just skip it and just start writing the content. And so I literally was like, hey, why are you not following my instructions, and you're not reading this content? And how can I improve my prompt so that you follow instructions by reading the content? And then it will give you a very detailed bullet list, like, oh, you should try doing this. And it's like literally like copy and pasting, like, well, let me try that. And then once you get it, then you're like, we got it. So really it's like, it's self-improving, essentially. All you have to do is ask it to improve itself, and it will. And that's what we did for all of this.
So it sounds like you have like that initial roadmap that you keep kind of copying and pasting from, and then you start working with ChatGPT, and then is your process to go back to that kind of roadmap and kind of make it more specific to the client each time?
Correct, yeah.
It over.
Yeah. So we have like a standard template that's like agnostic of client. Then we start working with the client. We'll create its own like prompts, right, that have the tone, the style, the whatever, that are specific to the client. We might even update some of the article templates and types depending on like what type of content they're writing, what their audience is. So then it becomes specific to the client. Now what you can do is, again, going back to training the brain, ChatGPT is kind of tough where there's like, the sidebars, like how do you even remember where your files are and all this stuff. But if you can upload all those pre-prompts for a client, you don't have to then upload them again, right? So it's like you've already trained that brain in one of these chats. So what you can do is you can just literally come back here, and then if it's a new article you want to write, where is it? So come back up here. So right here, what I would just do is I would just click edit, and then I would just update all this stuff. So then you don't have to go back and do all of that over again. So you kind of have one of these per client.
You have one thread that.
Correct. Correct, yeah.
Can you connect it so that it refers to articles of, so updated, and you can go back and say, okay, every 3 months, if there's changes, you can rewrite the article with new updated information?
I'm sure you could. We haven't really looked into that or thought about that a whole lot. The other thing that you can do, which we're going to be doing here soon, is you can actually chain this all together with like a make.com or a Zapier. And that way it's like one click and it'll produce this result. We've just been really dialing in the prompts first, and so we didn't want to start going down that path until we felt really, really confident about the prompts. But it'll just chain that all together. And then what you can do if you want to make it a product, you just put a UI wrapper around it, and then all of a sudden it looks, well, it is a usable product that ultimately uses some form of a Zapier-esque or Make.com-esque type of like workflow, and based on all these prompts. And all the AI tools, or most of the AI tools out right now, that's exactly what they do. They're just ChatGPT wrappers.
What's the UI wrapper?
So it's just like taking what I'm doing here and just putting a nice like user interface in front of it.
Okay.
So like it becomes usable for third parties and external people versus like running through these prompt sequences every time, basically. So it's like a SaaS product, basically. But all the AI SaaS products are essentially just using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo or whatever. They don't have their own AI. And then they are literally using written prompts, and then they're chaining those prompts together on the back end with tech that I don't understand because I'm a technical person.
Have you heard of a product called NeuroWriter?
What was it?
NeuroWriter?
Sounds familiar, but what? Explain it.
So we've been trying to do this, similar thing with NeuroWriter, and from our experience, again, it's not indicative of anything. Our users know that this was written, like there's no way we're producing that much content.
Right.
So they're not reading it except to say that we're top of mind. Like the only thing they got from 2,000 words is just our logo sending something.
Right.
We know what you're doing. Here's your logo. Got it. Check mark. Congratulations. But we know ChatGPT wrote this.
Yeah.
And we're not going to read it. Just because we know no one at your company sat there and wrote 2,500 words.
Right.
So is it about being top of mind using these newsletters, and then the logo does maybe 80% of the work? Like the fact that the company made the effort to send something,
Yeah.
but all the players know
Yeah. I see
that
what you're
it's a
saying.
bunch of AI stuff.
Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts about this. So thought one is yes. if you're just putting in the effort to have a consistent newsletter that has your logo, that's about the topic and the space you're in, it's going to provide inherent credibility for your brand, right? And so in that case, it's like less important that the content is quote unquote good and just more important that, like, you know, you go to someone's website, you see they have a resource tab, you click on the resource tab, oh, they got a blog, they got a newsletter, got this. I might not look at any of that stuff. I'm just going to inherently trust this brand. So I'm like, okay, like they're clearly an expert in their space, to your point, right? So there's that inherent value with a newsletter like that. However, again, I have 10 years in online publishing, and I hate bad content. And so I also think you should be writing incredible content, basically.
But you're spending the time to read it.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. We have human
Our
editors.
customers,
Yeah.
or at least from our experience, our customers are like, got it, you generated, you know, check the box.
Yeah.
It's almost like having a LinkedIn profile.
Totally.
LinkedIn profile, you have a blog with just some stuff, no one's gonna read it, okay, fine, let's sign up.
But
Yeah.
in the bigger picture, how's your, excuse me, but in the bigger picture, how are the clients gonna know that you're not smart enough to write that?
Because all the players now know that if you're not using ChatGPT, it's almost like an assumed, it's an assumed assumption.
No, I know a guy who's writing this, and he started using ChatGPT, and I told him straight up, man, that's not you. But how would somebody else down the road not know that? That's what I'm trying, I mean, I can see that you
Yeah.
wouldn't read it if you knew it was ChatGPT.
I think it's just already an assumed,
It's
assumed
Depends the value,
presumption.
right?
Say again?
The value, because if you provide so much value, like your newsletters provide so much value, it doesn't matter who wrote it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because
Yeah,
there's
but the
no
point
idea.
that our customer, no one has time.
What is your business?
We have a conversational AI platform.
Okay.
So we're creating content, and we're using ChatGPT to create the content. But our customers know that 2,500 words, we're not a publishing company, so we're using ChatGPT. And I spoke to one of the customers, and it's like, yeah, I got your email, it's ChatGPT. Congratulations, I didn't read it because I don't have time to read stuff that you even didn't write. But you got the credit, meaning,
Yeah.
like, you got some credit for making the effort to
Yeah.
be top of mind.
And you do get some credit for that, but I would also just say, to your point, the goal should be to be providing incredible value. And if you're not providing incredible value, in my opinion, like, you just shouldn't be doing it, is how I think about it.
Right.
And we're pretty big on really, really understanding the customer that we're communicating with, understanding the topics we're writing about, and then writing those topics to the best of our ability, which is why we also use human editors. And I just think that you're going to beat out someone who is just getting the credit versus someone who's really trying to build a rabid community of people who are going to be following your brand. One like way to kind of think about it is, if you had like a meetup and you promoted it in your newsletter, would people actually show up or not? And if people are going to show up to a live event, you're doing something right. And if people aren't going to show up to a live event, then you're not actually building a community, in my opinion. So that's like a way to do that.
We can measure in the clicks, in the interaction that the newsletter.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
I
just.
have a quick question. So to hit what he was saying and what you're saying and what I do, I edit it. I mean, I get it and then I go through it because I can tell when people post and send me emails that it was just ChatGPT writing it, and I don't want to send stuff like that.
Right.
I go through it like you go through it with the human editor.
Right, which is why.
Do you not do that? I'm asking.
So, to his point, and
Yeah.
this is why he's using these tools.
Yes.
They are very good.
Yes.
In other words, even when I read the content
Right.
generated by
Right.
ChatGPT, it is not gobbledygook. It is really meaningful things about customer engagement and meaning
Yeah,
it's
but
really
when you
good
do
stuff.
a newsletter, does it sound like you wrote it, or you just take what ChatGPT is giving you?
So here's what we did before ChatGPT.
Okay.
We went to an agency.
Okay.
So we didn't write the content for our platform. Either way, we either paid the agency, right, $5,000 a month,
Yeah.
or now we're paying $20 to that. And so from our perspective, it's a cost savings because as a company, we don't write all of our, we have copywriters or we had copywriters. And all we did is just use that as a form of
Sounds
talking
like
about
the subject matter needs to be more exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
Or relevant,
you need to
Yeah, it has to be,
review
it's
the
what you're writing
content.
about.
Like before
That's all.
ChatGPT, we would hire him.
Yeah.
Like literally, we would hire him.
Yeah.
And
You
he
should-
would
It's
be,
system,
you should-
but-
you
so I
should-
didn't write it anyway.
you should
know?
still hire
Then
us.
he would have good, unique content. It would
Yes.
be
So
unique.
my
That's
opinion,
what I
my
said.
opinion on the matter
This
is,
you know,
How you
if
prompt it.
you just throw out
well,
ChatGPT.
my opinion, and we got about 15 minutes left in this presentation. I'm going to keep powering on here, but my opinion is cream rises to the top, basically, right? And if you're putting out crappy content, like it's going to catch up with you eventually, versus someone who's writing incredible content, that's going to be discovered. And so, especially if it's related to my brand, I just want to make sure that the content that I'm putting out is really high value. And I think that you're ultimately going to be beating out people who might not have that much of a laser focus on how valuable the content is. Again, in my opinion. Did you have
I
a?
just want to say one thing, getting back to your point about what Dharmesh Shah said about companies being media companies. I mean, I think you've really got to focus on the fact that your email newsletter is a media product as opposed to kind of just dialing it in, right? So like you probably follow statistics on how people are reacting to the newsletter, opens, the
Yeah.
click-through rates, the responses you get, people actually emailing back and saying, oh, I love that point about this, that,
Right.
and the other, et cetera. And if you're not getting those kind of things, you're not doing something right.
That's actually a good point as well. And part of the value of working with an agency like ours is I'm showing you guys the secret sauce, right? So yes, you can go home and use these prompts now and come up with articles that are similar to what we just did, but it's the strategic approach oftentimes that is really the value additive. So what does your runway look like? Why does it look that way? What articles are you going to write first? What articles are you going to write second, third, fourth? Right, what are the open rates of article X versus article Y, and what can we glean from that? What are the click-through rates of article X versus article Y, and what can we glean through that? Through that, let's write more of article X, let's write less of article Y. Things like that is really a difference maker, in my opinion, for doing something like this.
We got
Okay.
about 6 minutes.
Okay, we got 6 minutes. Let me just show you real quick. So from here, what you can do is you can then repurpose that content for social media, and this creates the content flywheel that we were talking about. So I'll do this real quick, and then I have a couple things just to wrap up. If you can just give me a few extra minutes, Sharon, please. So what I'm basically asking it to do now is, hey, I didn't take all the. So we're having it repurpose the content and then write us a Twitter thread. And the reason why we start with a Twitter thread is basically a Twitter thread can be repurposed across pretty much any social medium. Think of it more like a blog style, LinkedIn and Facebook, and then think of it as like a tiled post on Instagram, for example. So you can basically use this across all of your social mediums. So we're basically going to have it write a Twitter hook based off of the article. It just did that right now. And then we're going to ask it to then write the rest of the thread. So basically come here, and it's now going to write the rest of the thread. So you're going to have your Twitter hook. You're going to have all your individual Twitter tweets in a Twitter thread. And then what you can do is, again, repurpose all this content across Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, basically. So just right here, now you have 6 pieces of content. And again, it took us like, 20 minutes or so to do it. So this is basically what we do internally, and this is how we do it. Now, I have a couple final things to say, and then we'll conclude. I appreciate all the conversation and questions. And then if anyone has any additional questions at the end, be happy to take those, of course. But again, this is how you come up with a content runway, write the newsletter, repurpose that newsletter for the blog, and then write all the social posts. And just remember, the way it creates a content flywheel is you are using your social and SEO posts to promote the newsletter itself. So what we would do in this Twitter thread, for example, is the last tweet in the thread would actually be a call to action to subscribe to the newsletter for more information. Same thing with the blog post. We're going to insert a call to action to subscribe to the newsletter, and that creates that content flywheel that's basically generating traffic, increases subscribers, then you sell to your list, and then use these social extensions as the growth driver, not as the revenue seller or generator.
Is better the conversion in the ads for newsletter?
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better. Yeah.
Awesome.
Like hugely better.
One
I
other
think what
question.
you've done here is amazing.
So I just have a couple things real quick, and then
Let him finish.
and then we're gonna conclude.
We only got 4 minutes.
all right, I'm gonna burn through this.
Super cool.
So this is everything. Now I'm just gonna basically speak to the fact that, look, you can do this all yourself, great. But to do it well, you need email marketing and SEO expertise. You need to come up with a successful content strategy. You need to execute on that strategy with high quality content like we discussed. You need to analyze the results monthly and then iterate and improve on those results. And that means you're going to either have to do it yourself and invest a lot of time and effort, or hire someone. And again, you could probably get someone fractionally, but if you're hiring someone full time, the annual salary is $65,000 to $80,000 a year to ultimately do this well. But of course, there's an easier way, which is to pay me. So introducing Flyletter, real quick, 4 minutes, I got it. We're gonna bomb through this. Flyletter is a done-for-you email newsletter agency that leverages 10 years of online publishing expertise to help you build, engage, and monetize a high-value email list through our AI-enabled Flyletter system, which is what I just showed everyone, basically, right? So what we do with our clients is we will craft an automated welcome email sequence. We'll create and publish high-value weekly newsletter. We'll include in-newsletter promotions for your products or services, making this not a cost center, it's a profit center. And then we'll repurpose and promote the newsletter content across SEO and social media. I'll skip over this real quick. This is how we typically work with our clients. There's multiple phases that we go through, and we work with our clients every step of the way to make sure that we have all of the core items we need to produce that high-value content and ultimately build an audience that's engaged and monetizable. So we have monthly services. We have really 2 standard packages and then a custom solution. We have clients working on basically all 3 of these packages. So I just want to talk about it real quick, and then we'll conclude. So the first one is our newsletter package. This is specifically for people who already have big email lists and they're just looking to activate that email list. So they care less about growing it. They care about, like, I have this dormant list, it's 50,000 subscribers, what do I do? We got you, basically, right? So what we're going to give you is a unique customer avatar, a custom brand voice, the email template designed in your chosen email marketing platform, an automated email welcome series, a weekly newsletter, and then obviously monthly reporting and optimizations where a lot of the value add comes in. That's the newsletter package, again, specifically for those that have email lists that are just trying to activate it. We have a Flyletter package, which is the full content flywheel system. This is everything in the newsletter package, plus the weekly SEO blog post promoting your newsletter. You get the weekly social post promoting your newsletter, up to 8 of those. And then 1 content upgrade to include with promotions, and we can talk about offline about how to do that in a way that's actually going to increase valuable subscribers and not just have people unsubscribe after they receive it. So really what we do here is every month you'll get 4 newsletters, you'll get 4 SEO blog posts, and then you get up to 8 weekly social posts. So that's 32 social posts. So that's what, 40 pieces of content a month here in the Flyletter package with the purpose of growing your email list, engaging your email list, and then monetizing your email list. And then of course we have a custom package where you can get a custom strategy for things like more than 1 weekly newsletter, more than 1 weekly blog post, and then content that requires like really deep industry expertise. And at that point, we will actually outsource it to an industry expert to help us with that. Quick example, we have a client who's doing 3 weekly blog posts. So what we do is we publish the 3 blog posts a week. We have 1 weekly newsletter for that client, and it really is just a roundup of the blog posts for that week. Little bit of information on key takeaways for that blog post. If you want to read more information, read the full post, right? So that's an example of something custom. Now, typically, the cost of this is newsletter package $3,000 a month, Flyletter package $3,500, and of course the custom package is completely custom, all the way up to $10,000 a month, depending on what you need, or more, I guess. But we just never work with anyone over $10,000 a month. But if you're interested, we're down. But we are currently closing out our book of business here in Q4 of 2023, and we're looking for what we call good fit clients that are going to be successful with this strategy, and candidly are people that we want to work with, because this is client services, and I like to like the people that we interface with on a daily basis. So if you think that you are that person, basically it's a good fit client for a type of service like this, and also would be fun to work with, cool business, interesting business, we are currently offering a $500 discount for each one of these packages through the end of the year while supplies last. So,
By the way, you'll see how before, you're now able to reduce, we pay $5,000 a month, that was our cost, before ChatGPT, And I think one of the reasons you're able to
100%.
reduce your costs is because of AI tools. So-
100%.
So
In fact,
that's why he's able to do it, those costs.
what these costs would be is they would actually be a break even in the old model, because you would have to go hire the
Yeah.
content writers, right? And now this is actually a profitable way to run a business, which is why we do it. So would love to talk with anyone if they're interested about this and just talk about SEO content, email content, and AI content in general. I will now pause, say thank you to Sharon and Fernando. Talk to Zachariah if you want to write a book. Also, Andrew's here. He crushes it with the course creation. So if you're trying to create a course, he also has some great prompts internally. So those would be two guys I'd recommend speaking with.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
what's that automated email series like? What's the focus or the
Yeah.
content of it?
So it's really the goal of that automated email series is to position you. It's basically like doing product education for your product or service, but then also positioning your product or service as the solution to their pain point specifically. So it's almost kind of like a product tour a little bit. So we'll get like access to the systems or whatever, screenshots, how to use it, whatever, but also like the value of using it, and ultimately like positioning the brand as like, hey, you got a problem, you got a pain point, like we solve it, here's how we solve it. So it's like a way just to drive additional revenue kind of off the jump, yeah.
I've also heard of like little mini courses as an email
Yeah,
onboarding series.
yeah,
Very cool. I like it.
yeah, I appreciate it, thank you.
That's
Great
great,
questions,
thank you.
yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Really connected.
yeah,
We've had a lot of ups and downs in our business trying to do this.
Yeah.
Obviously pre-AI.
yeah,
And we've tried a little bit of
Yeah.
but I think the value here is all about, it's not about can anyone here replicate it, because anyone can, but I think it's the cost benefit of.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's also like the strategic, yeah, and it's also the strategic oversight, yeah.
Because I can't do it, I would do it because I gotta build my business.
Totally, you're right, yeah. And that's actually where we find our best clients is ones that, they have the ability to do it if they needed to, but they're like, this is way more cost effective for us just to outsource this and just get it done, and then oh, I forgot I had this. I was like, what?
We already have a name for it. That's like big commerce, reporting, or media. I don't know Marvin. Yeah, but I would, I mean, even if we're just trading notes, I mean, I'm always down there. Yeah, so let's try We can do that. Or a lot of businesses already have content. Yeah. Like, I think it's prime. That's why I was saying, like, it's not a cost center. It's a profit center. So sometimes you see the dollar sign, like, it's like, the website feels like, money out, but we're gonna pretty much, so we have a client, for example, the annual LTV of one of our customers is 20 a year. It's called 3,000 a month. We're charging them 3,000 a month to operate the newsletter. Well, then we're delivering 2 more clients a year. That's like ROI positive, right? So we try to work within those constraints to make sure that we're delivering that ROI positive.
So it's a mix. We're not going to read the one side, but please barely read my subject. Right? Unless I say action required, unless I say like, emergency. They've got 20,000 emails. So that's what I mean. The fact that they saw that I sent some kind of newsletter, I don't think they read it, but I do think I got credit for. Yes, but I don't think he actually. I've tried to put put in, I wrote a ChatGPT article about conversational AI, okay? And I wrote, 2 sentences in about 1200 words, you know, into blog post. And I said, chocolate cake is amazing.
A little thing to test to see if people like it.
And I wanted to get a response to see if any of my thousands of customers gotcha, chocolate cake.
Oh, you know what? Wow. Another thing we can do is look at some time. Yeah, you know what?
Has it worked out? Oh, you got it? Well, then look it up.
See if people reach out, like, hey, you misspelled this thing or whatever. It's like a way to keep it like people actually.
I do more for the work with well, when we generate and then usually I work
That's why I think email.
emails.
Okay, but you can use the link to for information.
So you copy and paste the link and you copy. And you say to ChatGPT, write me an email selling Skyler.
Well, for me, to just have a lead list, it's like 1,000 people. I just drag it on, the function, and then just auto populate.
Wait a minute, so it goes and automatically goes and checks, gets the information from your LinkedIn profile, puts it into specific strategic areas of the email you send out? What software is that?
It's not even proprietary. GPT for Sheets. What's more proprietary is what this gentleman was talking about.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would love to connect with you.
What company do you work for?
I actually so
Like a lead generation company?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lead generation would focus on B2B. It's very interesting so far. It has its ups and downs, right? With the AI, interesting things we can do, which is
Are you a fan of Alex Furman?
yeah, I love Alex.
Yeah, me too. We actually, my son and I went out for a while together. We're in business.
What do you do?
So I'm a content marketing manager of a company, but I've started an agency to do writing for companies like the U.S. market, specifically Latin American tech outsourcing companies.
You want to connect to LinkedIn?
Yeah, let me.
Same time zone. They pop
Near shore, exactly.
Oh man, that's perfect. Yeah, I'd love to connect with you.
Well, you said son. I think you've got like more than a couple, then it turns into 12.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can train your profile into like a creator profile. We bought his course, the email 10K course.
Yeah, smart because he's the man.
Yeah, he is. And then for other things, like I love his talk, but like I think a lot of what he talks about, like you hear about Nicholas Cole and Dickie Bush. I think it's Bishop Curry, then Jay Klaus. He talks about email newsletters, creator economy, and then Tim Stoddard from Copy Blogger. Copy Blogger's great too.
Absolutely. And then I know there's a
Yeah. Oh, what's his name?
But anyway, he's got a great email. He talks about teach everything you know.
Yeah, like that. Yes, that was amazing.
Look into Joe Polizzi too.
I definitely heard of Joe. Yeah,
Joe Polizzi. He's the founder. He's actually the one who kind of coined the term content marketing. He's like
So you were involved a lot in the cold email actually as an agency.
Yeah, we were doing that. And then we shut it down after during COVID because our main customer was selling to event venues, etc.
We didn't get a stack of parties and stuff.
Yeah, she did.
So how did you meet your partner? Nice to meet you. You said your business is
Check this out. Let's meet up and introduce yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
He's got my LinkedIn.
Yeah, and yes, yeah, so got it. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I feel like that would
Here we
Who's your ideal customer? That's what I love. I look for TikTok. I'll look for guys that look like me. So it does work. One minute style winter. Right? What kind of content I want to because I want to know what somebody was like. So we're going to